Bajaj. Or is it Bajaj? Anyway, the first is silent apparently.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago.
Hey, right, I had a look at the votes this morning and apparently 62% of you voted to see a video of my experience of my first ever press launch, which of course was the press launch for the Royal Enfield Scram 411 back in May, I think it was, down in that Brighton. Now, I'd just like to respond to one or two comments that I received in my last video. And I would like to make it very clear, I do not work for Royal Enfield. They don't pay me, I don't get any cash from sales of bikes or whatever, I wish I did. I don't get the bikes for free, I have to pay for them. And the only money that I make through making these videos is through the adverts that are played during the video, and through kind donations from viewers through Patreon, PayPal or the Super Thanks button. And for the most part, that money actually goes back into the channel, buying the bikes and camera equipment, etc. Yes, this is a Royal Enfield rich channel, but that's because I happen to have a passion for the brand. And that's all there is to it. Right, now we've got that out of the way, let's get on.
Keep my head up high through the downs and lows, and we're all going live. Still nobody knows, but I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes. And ain't no one in life holding me back no more.
Right, so this thing was all very short notice. I think it was about a week before the actual event I got a phone call from Royal Enfield's PR representatives. Now, from what I can gather, the PR company that Royal Enfield employs get very short notice on these things. Royal Enfield likes to keep everything very hush-hush until they're ready to push the button. So, when they do push the button, it's action stations for everybody. Now, the meeting place or venue for this press event was the Wiston Estate Winery, which is just north of Brighton. It was quite an intense and hectic day, so I didn't get much of a chance to see this place, but it seemed to be a huge, sprawling estate with a restaurant and a shop, along with a corporate meeting complex, which is obviously why Royal Enfield had chosen it. Ideal for an event like this, and it also had acres of vineyards. Now, the actual event started at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and I wanted to get there early to get some footage before everyone turned up. And it's about a 6-hour drive from my home, so I had to travel down the night before and, stay at a bed and breakfast. I got there about an hour before the event was due to start, but it was already a hive of activity with the representatives from the PR company there, mechanics and bike wranglers, as well as some executives from Royal Enfield itself, and I was by no means the first journalist there. Others had obviously had the same idea of getting there earlier. It soon became quite apparent that not only was I the oldest person there, but I was also the scruffiest. Everyone was pretty well dressed, and I stuck out like a sore thumb. Of course, it didn't help that I was wearing my new Royal Enfield jacket, and I'd left the tags dangling off it. But the Royal Enfield staff were good enough to point that out to me and stop me from embarrassing myself for the entire day. And that's probably why I didn't get invited to the Bangkok press release of the Hunter 350. Now, I didn't get a chance to speak to everyone during the course of the day because, like I said, it was quite intense. We were on the move all the time. I have to say that the guys from Visor Down and from Urban Rider were really friendly and down to earth and very professional. There were some journalists from the newspapers, and the rest seemed to be made up sort of mainly of influencers from Instagram, etc. I did feel like a bit of a fish out of water. I'm a bit of a loner at the best of times. So, for the most part, I just kept my head down and collected as much video footage as I possibly could. Now, by the time everyone was assigned a motorcycle for the day, it was obvious that things were running a little bit behind. We were taken inside one of the conference rooms in the venue itself for a presentation by the Royal Enfield executives. And Mark Wells, Royal Enfield's chief designer, gave us a presentation on the design of the Scrambler, how the concept had come about, and a little bit of background on what had actually gone into the project. What did shock me a little bit is one or two of the executives from Royal Enfield came over to talk to me. I can't remember whether it was at the beginning of the presentation or at the end, but they seemed to know everything about me, which was a bit disconcerting. Now, once we actually finally got outside, we were broken up into two groups. The ride itself was being led by James and Emily Page, co-founders of Superior Motorcycle Experiences. A friendly and easygoing couple who are also very professional and very good at what they do. They run a fleet of Royal Enfield Himalayans, and they not only conduct tours around Dorset, which is why they were leading us, but they also conduct tours around Europe. They also offer off-road tuition courses, and if anyone's interested in getting in touch with them, they can be contacted via their Facebook page, Superior Motorcycle Experiences. Now, I'm not sure how many of them there were, but they also had some outriders riding tail gun to pick up any stragglers that got separated from the main groups. And I was really impressed at the way they conducted themselves on this day. I don't like riding in groups at the best of times, but these people made it an absolute pleasure.
But all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays. Way back a year ago.
Now, most of the other journalists that were there either work in print or they work in text on Instagram, so they didn't need to video everything, and there was no sort of video facilities set up for us, so I was reliant on doing everything myself. There were a couple of professional photographers on hand throughout the day, but they were mainly sort of getting snaps to share with the journalists for inclusion in whatever articles they were producing. And I did start to find this a bit stressful as the day went on. I mean, literally, you didn't have time to breathe. You know, you stopped, you thought you would have a chance to get your camera and get some footage, but no sooner as you got it out, they were off again. So I did feel like I was missing a lot of opportunities. By the time we actually got on the bikes and got moving, I think we were running something like 30 or 40 minutes late, which wasn't a good start, and that lateness sort of increased as the day went on. Don't get me wrong, Royal Enfield did look after us with drinks and snacks available at some of the stops. But it was very clear that they just wanted us in the saddle as much as was humanly possible so that we could experience the bikes and report them accurately. Now, to be honest, I've got absolutely no idea where we went. I know we ended up in Brighton sort of halfway along, but to a large extent the day was just a complete blur. The first stop was actually a sort of beauty stop or lay-by. And I'm pleased to say that Mark Wells made himself available at every stop that we made to answer any questions that anyone might have. Now, luckily, I did catch the next bit on my action camera. It was intentional, I'd actually left it on without realising it. But the truth is, we didn't know what was going on from 1 minute to the next. The reason for this stop was to break the groups up a little bit. Now, I'm sure you've all read sort of bike magazine articles, reviews on bikes, and the same in newspapers, and you often see a picture of the author riding the bike, and like I say, the whole day photographic wise was geared up to facilitate that. This here was the guy from Urban Rider just taking every opportunity it possibly could to get some footage. Now, these photographs of the journalists riding were taken by a professional photographer who was sitting pillion on the back of a Scram 411, snapping pictures as everyone sort of overtook him. And I'm not showing you my photograph because it's embarrassing. And then after that, again, the professional photographers took up a position on a sharp bend to get flybys of everybody. Luckily, I had the presence of mind to give one of the staff my camera and ask them if they would be good enough to video it for me, which she did, and she actually made rather a good job of it, and that was really the only opportunity I got. For the most part, we had absolutely no idea what was going on. We'd just been led around like cattle. And that's not a complaint, it was just such an intense day, as I've said. You know, we had such a lot to fit in a short space of time. I've got absolutely no idea how many miles we covered during the course of the day. Now, this was only about a week after I'd sustained that foot injury, and I was struggling a bit. The pain was horrendous. So I've got to admit, I was quite relieved whenever we had the opportunity to stop. Eventually, we pulled up at a park in Brighton. I've got no idea what the park's called. And this is where a Royal Enfield put on a little show for us. They'd employed a couple of expert skateboarders. They took us to the skate park, gave us a cup of coffee, and I think we spent about half an hour watching these guys, trying to do a couple of stunts as a photo opportunity for us. I think I was probably the only one that was actually taking any photographs. And this is where I started to get a real feel for what Royal Enfield is as a company. It wasn't all sort of formal and stressy. This reminded me of when I was a kid. Yeah, these guys were doing the jobs, but they were enjoying it. It just reminded me of, when I was much younger and you'd go out for rides with your mates. You would park up somewhere and you would just mess about. You'd just have fun. And that's what this atmosphere was like. It took me right back to my youth, where we'd park up somewhere and we'd take it in turns in a competition to see who could get round a bend the fastest on a Honda C50. It was that kind of atmosphere. Just doing daft stuff for shits and giggles. And although I thoroughly enjoyed it, I don't think it really struck me until much later on. But this is why I think Royal Enfield are nailing it with everything that they do. These executives that are designing the bikes and building the bikes and making all the decisions that go into producing them are not just executives, the bikers that just happen to be executives in that field of work. And it's that genuine sort of fun biker personality that's built into those bikes. Something that I personally think most motorcycle manufacturers have completely lost these days. True motorcyclists' motorcycles are not built by accountants that are just concentrating on a bottom line. Real motorcycles are designed and built by motorcycle enthusiasts. By this time, I think we were about an hour and a half behind schedule. We were told that we're going down to the seafront for a photo opportunity. We stopped for about 10 seconds and then we were off again. The photo opportunity was actually another opportunity for the professional photographers, again to get some moving shots for the journalists. And that was then followed by the longest ride of the day, finishing back up at the winery. Now, this wasn't meant to be the end of the day. This was supposed to be a lunch stop-off, followed by some off-road action, if that's what we wanted to do. And the whole event was supposed to be finished at 2 o'clock, but we actually didn't reach the lunch venue until 2:30. As I said, everything had run way over time. Now, they'd set up a sort of a little picnic area with catering companies, barbecue affair set up, and plenty of chilled soft drinks. I was starving. So while they were preparing the food, I set about getting as many shots of the bikes as I possibly could so that I had plenty for the review video that I knew I had to make. So did the guys from Urban Rider, very industrious chaps. But as time ran on, I was becoming ever more conscious that I had at least a 6-hour drive back home. Actually, because of the traffic around London, it ended up being closer to 8 hours. I didn't get on until just before midnight. So at round about 3:30, I had to make my apologies and say goodbye to the event staff, which is a shame because, did I mention, I was starving. Now, there's no doubt about it, for your traditional bike magazine or newspaper journalists, these days are quite a cushy number. All they really have to do is concentrate on the bike when they need to. Pretty much all of the photography is taken care of for them. But for people that have been silly enough to set up a YouTube channel and then are lucky enough to get invited to these do's, it's really hard work. You've got no idea really what's going on or how long you've got at any given stop to get some footage, and you just spend the entire day trying to grab opportunities wherever you can. I didn't even get time during the course of the day to change my ND filter on my action camera because there quite literally wasn't enough time. Anyway, that was my one and only experience of a motorcycle press release event. And despite the hard work, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and my other videos, and in doing so helping to support this channel. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel if you're not already a subscriber. I will of course be putting up a poll for next Wednesday's video, so until then, please ride safely and I'll see you soon.
I'm not falling, I'll push all my chips and call all in. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high through the downs and lows, and where I'll go in life still nobody knows, but I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes. And ain't no one in life